Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Box. Tonight we have Tina Ford with us. When she gets here, we've got a couple of guests popping in here to sit and ask questions. I want to thank everybody out there for coming. Hi, Norma, Brett, Denise, William, Will, everybody. Oh, Susie. How was your day?
Good.
Yeah, we were out playing in the woods again, were you?
Huh?
You were out playing in the woods again?
A little bit, yep.
Oh, yay. I told you. Was it nice out there today? Because it was only 96 here today, which is a good drop from 105.
Yeah. You've been a little warmer, but you got some rain, and then that helped you.
Yeah, last night we had some thunderstorms, and it was nasty out, but I didn't lose power, so that's a good thing.
Yay.
Yeah, I know, right?
We lose power every time, the wind blows out here because the tree falls on a line or something.
What are we going to do when I come out there and we lose power and we have a show?
You're going to have to, get used to it because it gets real all the time.
I'll have to tell Norma and Denise, well, power went out again.
Yep.
We're going to have to start doing shows during the week when the power's out if we miss it on the weekends. We'll do makeup shows. That sounds like fun. So, I think we're going to have a pretty good show tonight. I do have a video to show and some other stuff that we're going to talk about. And it should be pretty interesting. So, do you want to get us started in our safe place and we can bring everybody out?
Okay. So, all right. So we do want to say a prayer. Tonight, what we're going to be talking about is missing people. And, there are different reasons people come up missing. Everybody, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is not a good reason why they come up missing. Well, I don't think any missing person is a good reason. Someone's missing, leaves you with an unanswered, where's my loved one? Where did they go? What happened to them? And a lot of times, whether it be a car going off into a pond and they find them years later, or if, somebody kidnapped them or something nefarious happened to them,
Right.
it's always tragedy when you lose a loved one and you don't know what's happened to them. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is a lot of different missing people. And so Tina does a group called Missing 8. It's up here in East Texas, and she runs this group and she posts a lot of the missing people. So she'll have a lot of stories for us tonight, and we're going to kind of cover that. So I just want to ask tonight, I was thinking about this, and I just want to ask the Father, because a lot of these people that leave their loved ones behind, they leave them hurting and in pain because they miss the people that they love. So I just ask the Father to send an extra healing hand to touch those hurting hearts, and that I pray for closure to these missing people, closure and answers, closure that is going to bring closure to all these missing people. And that's my prayer tonight, that that'll happen for all the ones that are missing, those that their loved ones have been taken away from them. So, in Jesus' name, I pray.
Okay. Well, we have, let's see. Oh, look, Andy's back to visit. Hi, Andy. As he just sits there. Hi, Andy.
Hi.
And we have got Debbie Davis is here with us tonight.
Hey, Debbie.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
Doing okay. Doing okay.
Good.
I'm I'm still here.
So
We heard you had some problems, Debbie, with all your wires and things.
Oh yeah. Last Friday, they fried my cord. They fried, like, I had my phone. Yeah, so I lost you there. Well, I don't know. Somehow they've done this to me before. They've actually been able to fry my telephone cord. This is like the second time it's happened. Second or third. And just other weird stuff too. Like, they've done stuff with a fan. It'll go like on and off on its own, or not work, or fry. I don't know. I'm saying that this is, as a whistleblower, these type of things have happened to me before. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I had my phone plugged in, and it was charging, but then it just started. The battery started dying, and like my cord was just completely fried. Didn't work, and so I lost. So I lost you.
I know.
Well,
I told Susie that same day.
Go ahead, Brenda. Yeah.
That same day that happened, that you were on the show and all that happened, that same day, my door cam fried was done.
Oh yeah, see, and I have a camera at my house, and that the battery. This was a few months back now. All of a sudden, the battery just to one of the cameras just went completely depleted. But I got I got a couple other ones there, and they're fine. But just the main one depleted. Hey, so I don't know how they do this. Maybe somebody can figure it out. But they seem to be able to do this to batteries. And I don't know if it has a connection to ones that have been made in China, or something like that. But like the fan that I got, it was made in China, and they fried that fan, and I had to get a different brand. I mean, I don't know, but this has gone on for me for years, and I tell you, what they're capable of is astounding.
I know it makes me mad because
Just need to keep record of everything and write it all down.
Yeah.
I do.
And those things aren't cheap.
So you had the doorbell. Did they just fry the complete
Everything,
thing, or just the battery?
Everything, the whole thing.
Yeah, that was weird for Brenda. Yeah.
So it was like, so it must have been like some kind of. How do you think they do it? Like some kind of directed energy?
I know that every now and then, because I live like in a circle end, and there's only so many places down, so many apartments through here, and we know everybody's cars. But one night I was outside and I was down the way because I was visiting a friend, and a car pulled up here and was parked like directly across from my house. And they got really upset when I started taking pictures of their car and their license plate, and they drove off real fast.
Well, good. That's what you need to take pictures.
But I happened to have been outside.
Right.
But I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to make sure it's black, and I'm going to mount it up above the door in where the awning's at, so that it's not noticeable.
Kind of hide it. Yeah. Of course, if you're telling the whole world right now, then they're going to be listening, and they're going to go, I know where she's hiding it.
I'm gonna blow a hole in the ceiling outside, in the roof outside. The landlord's probably going to be like, "What in the hell are you doing now?" Sorry. I'm altering. Leave me alone. Yeah, I'm gonna hide it.
So is Tina there yet? Is Tina backstage yet?
I don't know how they do this. I wish.
No, she is not.
She is not here yet. We're waiting on Tina.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Denise says hi, Andy. Hi, Debbie. Norma said hi, Andy. Yeah, Norma. They do have to eat, apparently. us. That Norma had said that she hears that the reptilians need to eat. Yep.
Ugh.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do.
Well, you know what we could do while we're waiting for Tina? We could show the video of Bob Ballard. How's that? And then
Actually,
we can get started.
sure can, because this is a case that Susie and I have been following for quite a while, since we first heard about it.
A year
And,
ago. Mhm.
Yeah, it was a year ago. I can't believe it's already been a year. Wow. Let me get him set up here. Now, with Bob Ballard, he went missing one day, supposedly on his way back from a feed store, had a flat tire, and supposedly he oh, come on now, Brenda. What are you doing? Supposedly he didn't want to leave his truck, so
come home. With everything in me, I need him to come home.
Bob Ballard's wife, Connie Ballard, tells us he was heading to the feed store from Douglasville to Atlanta, but on the way, his truck got stuck in the mud at the intersection of County Roads 2116 and 2118. Connie's brother came to help. She says they were able to get it unstuck, but Bob chose not to come home afterwards.
And so I got up and I called him. And I said, why didn't you come home? And he said, I'm not leaving the truck down here. And he should have just come home. He said he's going to bring me the tire in the morning. Then we get down here Friday and he's not. He's not here.
She says officials came that Friday and did a live search along with family and friends.
We had horses. We had four-wheelers. We had side-by-sides. We had people walking on foot. The woods are real thick. And nobody found anything. I can't see him walking without taking his phone or his wallet. So I just kept telling him he's not going to be far from that truck.
The family says officials have not given them any new information. We've reached out to the Cass County Sheriff's Office, but have not heard back.
Welcome to...
Now, on this next half, there is a woman who got involved with this, and she has stuck with it and been trying to make sense of it. Norma says Bigfoot. no, Bigfoot ain't it. That's not a suspect.
No.
Bigfoot's fingerprints. But she has stuck with this story. So she's going to explain on here how she's involved with this story and how the story goes. And she's kept up on it pretty good and feels like she was misled. So let's go ahead and finish this off.
The Ugly Truth channel, where I put my butt on the line free of charge. Today's video has been stressing me out for a year because I knew it was coming, and I really was hoping arrests would be made before people started pushing to get the truth out there. So the time has come. The people that matter the most on this case can't wait any longer for the truth to come out on its own, so we need to revisit the Bob Ballard case. The day was sweltering, a subtle breeze, more like moving hot air around. Even in the shade, it felt as though we were sitting in someone's sauna. Connie sat next to me on the bank beside where her husband's truck was, found stuck weeks previous, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her eyes looking onward into the forest. The weight of her husband's absence hung heavy in the air, a silent specter that seemed to press down on both of us. It was the end of April 2023 when Bob Ballard went missing. I had been intrigued by Bob's disappearance, who had vanished under circumstances that were strange. The circumstances alluded to foul play to most who knew about it. Connie was desperate for someone to take her husband's disappearance seriously. She pleaded on social media, and I had some advocates send me her information and ask if I'd reach out. So I did. To the public, it appeared the local authorities had shown little interest, treating it as just another case of a man who'd wandered off. But I felt there was more to the story. The details were very suspicious, and Connie's urgency was palpable. Bob's case was perhaps the case that taught me the most. It taught me that little mistakes could lead to huge consequences. Documenting everything was crucial, and some people can lie very well. Right from the start, and I mean, as we walked down to the spot I first spoke with Connie in person, I was already questioning why Bob was even out there, and that's when Connie said Bob had issues with methamphetamine use. Of course, this made sense to me. I was already thinking it. But what Connie failed to ever mention was that her sister, who was with us that entire time, did too. She was arrested not long before Bob went missing for possession, and according to people in the area, Connie herself also had issues with the same substance. This isn't surprising, a drug user minimizing their use to a journalist, and of course, I'm not there to judge anyone for their drug use. A decade ago, I was someone who was struggling with addiction. So we agree. I'll not state that he was down there specifically for that, but I told her, people will assume anyway, and I need to stay as honest as possible. So I would allude to it, and she agreed. We made the video, and I thought I had given an honest account of the events. Connie acted as though she was afraid and uncertain of law enforcement in the area, and I understood that because I've heard some pretty bad stuff about Cass County officers. So she had requested I go with her to a meeting with the investigator over Bob's case. I reluctantly said yes and met her and rode with her to the station. This was not something I really wanted to do, but I also didn't want to be rude to Connie and tell her no. When we got there, the investigator was not happy she had brought me and had asked I sit out of the room, and of course I did and waited. But the walls aren't soundproof, and I was able to hear most of the discussion. For over a year, I've not shared what I overheard in that room. I wanted to respect the investigation and the integrity of it. The investigator told Connie she was a suspect, and he listed the reasons why and what people were saying. I didn't know what to think at the time. Was she being railroaded? Was the investigator onto something? For weeks, I listened to Connie's accounts, piecing together the events leading up to Bob's disappearance. She spoke of his trip to the feed store on April 26th, and how instead of going to the feed store at all, Bob had taken his truck down County Road 2116 in Douglasville, Texas, a muddy, impassable road. Everyone who has lived around the area knows that the road has been closed for at least 20 years. His truck became stuck just 20 minutes from their house, yet close enough that he could have walked home in a couple of hours using the trails, according to Google Maps. The story seemed at first consistent. She retold the events several times, recounting more often than not the Friday night and Saturday morning when Bob was discovered missing. But then Connie mentioned something odd. Weeks into our conversations, she casually revealed that Bob had called her Friday night asking for help, but she hadn't gone to get him, and the next morning, Bob was gone. The admission was jarring, and I could feel the unease settle into my bones. Why wouldn't she help him? He was not only vulnerable in such a secluded and rough area, but Bob was also diabetic. Why would Connie tell me something like this? Looking back, I believe this was said because polygraphs were about to be administered to all three: Connie, her sister, and her brother. Wendell, the brother, had gone in for his, but he failed. Connie stated he had failed when it came to knowing locations of wells where Bob went missing. She said he failed it because he knew of wells, just not where they were exactly, so he answered no and failed that question. Remember, this is just what I was told by Connie, so we don't know if this is true. When it came time for Connie's polygraph, she had to tell me about the call, in my opinion, because she claimed that law enforcement told her she didn't have to take it due to the call, claiming they said she would throw it off due to how guilty she felt about that call from Bob Friday night. I knew she was lying then, because I know that law enforcement would never say that. They'd never just throw their hands up and say, well, because you feel guilty about X, we won't ask you about A, B, C, D, or E. It doesn't work like that. They will work around things to get the answers they need or to ask the questions they want to ask. As I dug deeper, more inconsistencies began to surface. She was telling different stories to different people. Connie's story shifted with each retelling, small details changing, timelines blurring. I began to suspect that there was more to her role in Bob's disappearance than she was letting on. And the creeping fact that she was clinging to, or pushing rather, so hard publicly, the story that Bob should have just left the truck and came home. Well, he tried, according to what Connie told me in a face-to-face conversation. The deeper I went, the darker the story became. Connie's brother Wendell was the only person who had allegedly tried to help Bob when his truck got stuck. But rumors began to swirl almost immediately about a fight between Bob, Wendell, and Connie's sister, Teresa, just days before he disappeared. The pieces of the puzzle started to fit together, but the picture they formed was far from what I had initially imagined. According to many people, including an advocate Connie had spoken to right after Bob went missing, there was a big fight in the days before Bob went missing. Bob was tired of Wendell and Teresa living there with them in this small one-bedroom cabin. He was tired of their drug use, allegedly, and according to some witnesses, it was Teresa bringing drugs into the home again that caused the fight, and ultimately, Bob telling them both that they were no longer welcome to stay there. Would Bob really then be wanting Wendell's help getting his truck out of the mud? Bob had other friends he could have called. He had the money on him for a tow. He actually didn't need anyone's help if he didn't want it. And then we start zooming in on this scenario where they get Bob's truck out. Bob's truck is a dually. Dually. That means that no one needed to get another tire from anywhere. Bob had 2 extra tires right there on the back. A dually has 4 rear tires to operate off of, and many dually owners have come forward to tell me that it doesn't make any sense why Wendell needed to go get another tire off location. Another layer to it all is that when asking detailed questions about how they changed the tire on site, the claim was that it also needed a wheel, and so they put a wheel on the tire on site, out there in the mud. As I pieced together all of the words spoken with Connie, the truth became clearer with every word. The woman who had come to me for help, who had sat across from me, sharing her grief and fear, was now at the center of the very mystery she wanted me to cover. It was a chilling realization, one that left me questioning everything I thought I knew about the case, the people involved, and even myself. I had to realize that I made some mistakes. I had overlooked red flags that were right in front of my face. From the moment I met Connie, key details were withheld from the story given to media. For starters, Connie claimed right from the beginning that there was a video playing on Bob's phone when she found it in the truck after the Flatwoods ping. I had asked her if she had told authorities or anyone else about the video, and she said no. She closed it and didn't want anyone to see. She said she couldn't identify anyone in the video, but that it was a mature video. On another completely separate occasion, well after the video had been published, she told me that she had located a meth pipe of Bob's sitting in his visor, which wasn't a place he'd normally keep it, and she smashed it into nothing before the cops arrived to check out the scene. These weren't red flags to me initially, because I saw a woman trying to protect her husband from embarrassment and trying to protect his reputation in the event he turns back up. Alone, those 2 things aren't much, but in hindsight, given everything that had come later, they all became heavy, weighing down my ability to see her as honest, until I began to analyze and question every word. Connie was bothered by a cousin of Bob's, a man whose name carries a lot of weight in Cass County because he's considered untouchable with law enforcement. Jared Barnes. Barnes is known in the area for being someone who harms people, to put it lightly. He also likes to steal firearms and deal drugs, according to locals. Barnes was placed at the center of this by Connie when she began telling me about the stories he was allegedly going around telling other people. Barnes was claiming to know people involved. He was claiming to know what happened and where Bob's body was. Everything she gave me, I turned over to the investigator, and I washed my hands of the case for a while. It was overwhelming and, quite frankly, dangerous. Everyone was suspect to me, and no one was honest. A year passed, and I've quietly taken info, gathered relevant supporting evidence, and watched as Bob's case has remained stagnant. Recently, a woman, I'll leave anonymous, visited Connie and had begun befriending her. We wanted to see if anything had changed in a year. Turns out a lot has changed. Connie told this woman that Bob went missing on the 25th. Which is ironic because, for reasons I can't state, many have believed that was the day Bob was murdered and a plan to stage a disappearance was hatched. But that's not the only thing that has changed. A camper on the property is gone. Connie is selling almost everything out of the cabin.
I'm fixing to do the drawing for the raffle that I sold tickets for, and if your name is drawn, I will give you a call shortly and tell you how to claim your prize. And the winner is...
Not me.
One for that. Ricky Lomas. I will be giving you a call shortly and tell you how to claim your prize. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and thank you all for participating in purchasing tickets. Thank you.
She is holding illegal raffles where, yet again, another organization is profiting off of someone's murder/disappearance. The organization themselves was on the Connie did it train until she started bringing in money. Money really does talk, doesn't it? This organization is run by highly qualified men who at one point labeled Connie a psychopath, but they have no problem taking her money. People like me who cannot be bought have to go up against these giants who are louder, stronger, and have more resources. It's an uphill battle, so I won't be naming who this organization is, but it's safe to say they've got my gag meter topped out. Connie hasn't turned everything over that she has either. Connie shared with this anonymous woman a recording she made of Jared Barnes, telling her where Bob's body was. But Connie has kept that secret. Why? There are so many questions and so few answers. Why are the worst criminals in Cass County getting slaps on the wrist for their crimes? Why are the people who go missing not being looked for? Why are obvious suspects not looked at properly? Why hasn't the property Bob and Connie lived on not been searched and treated as a crime scene? Why? The lack of support and investigating makes us all feel alone. After a while, you get tired of turning shit in because nothing gets done. It's like the Kathleen Spinell case. The tips submitted to law enforcement should have sparked an investigation. Why didn't it? I wish I could just blurt out everything I know, but I can't. Bad people are being protected on more than one case, or law enforcement simply doesn't care. That I believe. I believe Bob was murdered. I believe he was murdered during or after that fight, and I believe his truck was dumped and staged out there. I believe evidence of Bob's homicide can be found at his home. I believe Bob's body can be found if law enforcement acts on the information they are given, but will they? I know there are law enforcement officers who are likely irritated right now. I support those who are doing their best, so if that's you, know that I support you. But if you're one of those who's failed to act on tips of body locations, tips from witnesses to crimes, or valuable leads sent in by journalists who received information that keeps them awake at night, I ask that you study your oath again. On behalf of several very devastated, angry, and hopeless individuals, this is the ugly truth.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I
That
have
was
quite a bit of
twist of the story,
comments
huh?
to make about this.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yep. Shoot or go.
Okay. Well, number one, Tina said she's got a house full of kids right now, so she can't come on. So
Okay.
we'll just kind of, I talk to Tina all the time. We're good friends. So I'm part of her group, and we've talked about this case for the last year. So here's some input that I have, some personal input that I have on the Bob Ballard case. I have a few things. One, my neighbor knew Bob really well, and my neighbor was a welder, and he'd given Bob some stuff to be a welder, and he had told me that one of the jobs that Bob did was Bob went to West Texas did oil, so he was around a lot of oil people, and there's a lot of drugs and stuff, amongst a lot of that stuff. So apparently, Bob's wife before Connie, there was an incident. My neighbor was telling me about it. And Bob was laughing about it. Bob Ballard was laughing about this story, but Bob says that his ex-wife and him got divorced, and then she asked him to come over and fix her truck. But then he wondered, why did she want me to come over and fix her truck? Because she was a better mechanic than I am. And so he comes over to work on the truck, and the next thing you know, she comes out with a 22 and she shoots him.
Oh.
And so Bob's ex-wife shot him with a gun, but he did survive that one. So, my neighbor's like, Bob didn't pick the best women. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Right.
So apparently the situation, now we lead up to his current wife, Connie. From what I understand, and from what, they had got, this was what pretty much everybody had said in the county. Okay. And it's pretty much a joint, everybody kind of agrees on, the same story. But the story goes that Bob and Connie and her brother and them had gotten to a big fight several weeks before his missing. He had kicked them out of the house, and so supposedly the day he came missing was supposedly when he invited him back in, if that's the story. But from what we hear, that's not really the truth. There's a lot of lies going around. Now, here's something interesting. Right after I found out about the Bob Ballard case, I went into town, and I just so happened to mention it to this lady that was working in a thrift store. Well, it turns out that lady, her name was Linda, lives right next door to where Bob Ballard's truck was. So his truck was on her fence line out there on that woods. And that morning, her and her husband, she told me, she said, I hadn't been to the police. I hadn't told my story or anything. You're the first person I've told this to, Susie. She said that morning, we came out of the driveway, me and my husband, and we saw Connie and her brother there. And we went over to see what was going on. And apparently, she claims that, Bob went down that road, had truck trouble, called her brother. Her brother came out there with a tire to fix it, got stuck. And there's, I personally went down that road. It's like a mud trail besides a piece of property. It's not even a really road. It's just like a path through somebody's. It's really bad. It's washed out. You can't. It's like a road you wouldn't go down. And then there's a sealed gate because it's like a reserve. It's like it belongs to like the city or something, or the county. The land does. And then it's like a lot of land, and there's another fence on the other side, another gate. So there's no passing through there. So there would be no reason to go down that road because you couldn't get out. It's a dead end. You'd have to turn around. So the original story was he was cutting through there. Well, that's not even possible. Nobody could do that or would do that. So she said that when Connie and her brother were there, her husband took the brother down that trail on his ATV, and they were trying to look for Bob out there in the woods. And then her husband felt very uncomfortable and brought him back. Felt like something was wrong, didn't want to be around him. Now, at the time, what was said was in that morning that Bob's cell phone was not in the truck. And then about when they went off and they came back, all of a sudden the cell phone reappeared into Bob's truck and it was being plugged in and charged. But when they checked the charge, it was like 93% or something like that. So Linda's like, how could that happen? How could the phone all of a sudden not, and so what Connie told her was that, oh, I think that Bob came back while we were out looking for him and plugged his phone in. Okay.
Oh
which,
my god.
yeah,
The line
that doesn't,
deeper and deeper, huh?
yeah, the story just gets weirder and weirder, right? So, because she said it was at 93%. That doesn't make sense. If it was charged all night, plugged in, it would be 100%. It was plugged in all night, right? So that was her story. So she said everything just seemed weird. And then she said everything she told me and what she told the police and everybody else was a completely different story. She said that's not everything she told me is what she told them. So then the next thing that I wanted to bring up was, and this just happened, about a week ago, Brenda?
Yeah.
This is just a weird thing that happened. Was I was out in the back of my property. They were cutting trees, and my son calls me. He said, "Mom, there's a bunch of sheriffs over here," and I'm like, "Okay." And he said they're looking for this girl who's running through our property, and there's a warrant for her or something. I was like, "Huh?" So I come up and I said, "What's going on?" They said, "Well, we have warrants for this girl who is a meth user, and it's like meth charges or whatever, and she apparently." The story goes, the policeman comes to the door. He says, we have a warrant for your arrest. She goes, "Can I kiss my children goodbye for the last time?" And he's like, "Okay." And she runs out the back door barefoot. And then she heads through my woods, and my woods are like crazy. Like there's snakes and everything out there. You would not be going out there with your boots on. Okay. And it's like 100 degrees out there. And, she's like got 3 miles of jungle and vines and everything else to go through. That's crazy. Ponds and creeks and it's just rough. And so she's running through there barefoot. I'm like, what? That's insane. So then they're trying to figure out what they did was they had a guy here. He was what they call a game warden, and he had dogs. So he had come in from Texarkana. He does all of East Texas, and he said, well, when I got here, she'd already had a 20-minute start on them, so they put the dogs down, and the dogs tracked her right to my back gate. So she came on my property. So that's why they drove around to the other side of our property to try to catch her coming through. And they said she had one of those phones that you have to be near an internet service to use. She doesn't have like a regular cell phone.
Right.
So one of the tree guys was leaving at that time. So we called him, and he said, yeah, I saw a white pickup truck with a young guy sitting out down the road. So apparently he was waiting for this girl when she came out of the woods for him. And so the game warden told me it was so hot and they were so tired with the dogs, they just put them in the truck and then drove over here. So when I was talking to him, he said, I'm the guy who tracks, because I said, I know the guy over in Louisiana that used to do all the, hunting for people with the dogs and stuff. And he said, well, I'm the sole person of all of East Texas all the way to Dallas. And he has like Labradors that he uses to track people. And so I said, did you do the Bob Ballard case? And he said, yes, I did. And I said, well, what did you find? because, I had heard that they had brought the dogs out there, and Connie had made a comment that the dogs had picked up a scent near the lake. So she was telling everybody that there was an alligator out there that ate Bob. That's what she was saying.
God.
So that's why they picked up a scent. Well, when I asked the guy who did the dogs, he said to me, he said Bob was never there. He was never there. He said he never drove his truck there. Somebody planted that truck there. And I was like, "Oh." So there was like no Bob anywhere out there? No, nothing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
so I believe that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Them dogs are pretty good. They don't
Yeah.
they don't just pull dogs out of the sky and say, "Here, go smell this." You know? Nope.
So yeah, so I told him, I said, well, the neighborhood or the census of the East Texas is that somebody killed Bob at home, and then somebody did away with Bob's body somewhere, and everybody believed that, and that knew that Bob would never take his truck down there, and people already kind of knew that, like everybody was saying that, because I talked to a lot of the people, and that's what they were all saying. I said, oh, so that's what everybody thinks, and so everybody pretty much was on the same page. Everybody, as far as the story, they didn't, and now with the dog and then the phone, and the stories just didn't add up. So I know. So what's interesting is that this reporter, this journalist, she did a report on Connie earlier in the year, and then she did this one. So it seems to me like she's following things pretty thoroughly and pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with this journalist. I mean, really impressed with her, and her ability to do that. Now, I did talk with one of the deputy sheriffs about it, a person that I really like a lot, and he had told, I said the census is, that because they did change it from a missing persons now to a homicide. So, and he basically, what he told me, which he said, you have to have you have to have evidence, good evidence, in order, you know what I mean, for a
Yeah.
case. So, to me, it seems to me like, it if you have good detectives and good, people working on a case, you would rather them go slow and take their time and get the evidence, than get in
Yeah.
a rush and mess up,
Yeah, because
right?
we have this thing called double jeopardy out here. So if they were to take whatever evidence they have now and go to court and try her for, the death of Bob or anybody else in the family, and they didn't feel that the jury didn't feel that there was enough evidence, they could be let go and you can't try them again. So I can understand that.
Wow.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Definitely. And Norma said Connie is conning everybody.
Well,
Connie's the con.
Connie's
now
con.
okay, so one of the things that Brenda knows, I did a lot of deep research on this whole situation. I looked into it all, and Connie's family are very public, high level Satanists. Okay, they are Satanist, and some of Connie's, like their brothers and sisters and children and family members, they're all part of a cult, right? And so one of their friends I saw also wrote a book about a family in East Texas that were not just Satanists, but they were cannibals. They like to eat their victims, you know.
Mm.
So, I thought that was, and I did bring that up with the sheriff, and he said yes, they knew that.
Nope.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Just know it, huh?
So, and one of the things also the guy with the dogs he said to me was, there were drugs involved, and but also the interesting things about that part was, apparently Bob had gotten clean and had got off of drugs, and this was pretty well known amongst East Texas that he had, I mean, this was more than one person validating this, that he had gotten clean, and that he didn't want that around his life anymore. And this is why this problem happened, and why he asked Connie and the brother to move off the property. So, that because of there was a drug issue. So, this is an ongoing case, right? And so, like I said, it's just kind of, it's all this stuff is like coming to the surface, and everybody is wondering, what is going on, and
Sounds like, it sounds like law enforcement is kind of like they're not doing anything.
I think they are, from what I could tell.
I think it's a smaller few.
I actually think that they are doing something. They're just they're doing what, I don't think that they're ignoring any of this. I think it's just a matter of time before everything surfaces, and it could take a while. There was another case here with another guy that was similar to this, and his last name was Shepherd. Yeah. And he like to eat people and kill them, and I guess, or whatever, burn them and burn their bodies and stuff. And it took them a little while, and they finally locked him up. And apparently there were quite a few missing, and there were drugs involved with that. And there was quite a few missing people that Tina had on her list, that apparently were friends with this person, that those cases actually never went from missing to solved. But I talked with the father of one boy that came up missing, a young man, and he knows that the Shepherd guy did it, because he came to the house just before he came up missing. And so, but he said, but the Shepherd guy got convicted for another two people that he killed, a girl and this other guy. He took to their house, and then they killed him because there was a girl there, a witness, and she testified against him. So, but the interesting thing that I asked Tina was, have there been any more missing people in this, the East Texas area since Bob? And there hasn't been any missing.
No.
Would I find that kind of what?
Yeah, odd, because there has been a lot missing from out there. And I'm thinking over here, I think I'm going to save up the money that way. When I move out there, we're going to electrify the property. That way, if anybody comes on that property that doesn't belong there, we're just going to fry them. But yeah, because it's not like it's not a big place. It's not a big town. I mean, it's, and mostly everybody out there knows everybody. Yeah. But after we take our break, we're going to talk about a cult that's out there that may or may not have anything to do with some of these missing people. No guarantee there, but still interesting. This woman is something else. I wish I still had that video that you sent me. Huh?
Oh, what's Andy's story over here?
Oh, Andy's sitting there listening to his radio. He does a fire photography out there where he's at. He just comes and sits in with us and listens to everything. Okay. I kind of drag him along every now and then.
Okay. Problem. I was just curious who he was.
His story is, we're going to do to his wheelchair what they're doing to mine, and we're going to mount machine guns on the bottom and put a rocket in the back so we can go 100 miles an hour down the road. Woohoo!
Susie, you should tell the story before we get off the air here about how speaking of Satanism, you know how your take on why they had that blue man on the at the Olympics, how it was the Norse god.
Yeah.
Yes. It was.
Yeah, because I've never, I know some people were touching on that, that uh, it was completely satanic, you know,
Oh,
the whole
yes.
scene, but nobody has
Right.
touched on why it was a blue man. You're the only one that I've
Blue
heard that
Man.
deciphered that part of it.
Well,
So
that goes back to the Norse
yeah,
story of the frost giant and Loki Lucifer, who was
yeah.
blue. And this is why you see the blue coloration and
Yeah.
in that, because it's connected to Lucifer. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
the
they started off right away. You know, first they were sitting there making fun of the Last Supper. I mean, it was
yeah, they
just
were. It's like a whole mimic.
blasphemy the whole way. You know, I didn't watch them. I just got bits and pieces from a lot of the things and the people that I watch,
Yeah.
because I heard about what they were going to be doing, and I was like, yeah, no, they don't even. I think since
So gross.
2012, was it, when they had the one where they brought out the shots and the ghost in the bed, and um, they stopped making the Olympics about freedom and strength in countries and competing. They stopped that a long time ago, and it's sad because it was something that everybody looked forward to every year, you know, but they took that away and made it what they wanted to make it. They gave
Uh-huh.
it I like to say, ideology, you
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
it's so stupid now. And
Yeah.
so many people still buy tickets and they still go and they still cheer it on and they still, that's why they can get away with doing it. People stop watching it, people stop going, it'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people realize that, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, people like the athletic part of it, but then but the other part of it was just like unbelievable.
Well, and it's the same way with the Super Bowl. They've done
Yeah.
nothing but throw
Yeah.
Satanism into the halftime show. And
Yeah. They have to.
why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not what we
I
came
mean,
for.
completely. You're flaunting it in front of everybody and
Yeah.
all it did was turn everybody off. You know.
Nobody hides anything anymore. It's out there out in the open and
All-
they just don't care.
Yeah, they're just blatantly, trying to push it on all of us.
And you know what people don't think about while they're doing this? They're sitting there saying to themselves, look at these dumbasses. They're falling for it every time. They're talking about us. They're making fun of us. They're laughing about it because they put it out in the open and nobody says a word. And
Well, there's
it's,
a lot of people talking about it afterwards, so they
oh,
were
yeah.
to talk afterwards. But yeah, exactly. Like they should have, made a scene right then and there in France. But I would have, like what
Well,
is?
I do know that the next day, like that night, all the
Uh,
lights went out in France. It went completely
yeah,
dark. And then the next day, there
there
was
were.
a group of Christians that went out there and they were singing, praise to Jesus. And they were singing, they were out there on the streets.
And the Eiffel Tower got hit by lightning, is what I heard. I don't know if you saw that picture, but
I
there was.
didn't see that one. I just seen it all dark.
Yeah, that's because the lightning struck.
But Susie and I were talking about that earlier, that nobody hides anything anymore. It's all out there in the open. It's for everybody to see. And
Uh-huh.
people are still rolling over to it. And
Yeah.
and stop it, people. Stop it. I'm tired of people. You people piss me off. Stop rolling over to this stuff.
Yeah.
You're allowing Satan to come in and continue destroying everything in this world, everything on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
because you won't open your eyes and see that, okay, well, them mocking the Last Supper, boy, that's wrong. What are they doing? Then throwing the Norse god in there. What are you guys doing? What are you thinking? And nobody does anything. Now, Brent says he doesn't watch TV. His wife does. Well, Brett, buy your wife some blinders. But I don't either. I keep on one show, the detective shows, and they're usually from the 1980s. And believe it or not, when I hear these, it'll catch my attention when I find out about somebody that has disappeared and I know the truth about what happened to them.
Right.
So, but I leave it on for noise for me to go to sleep, because if I don't have it on to go to sleep to, I hear everything that's going on around me, the neighbors banging on the wall, and I don't sleep. So other than that, and I use it on a Roku channel. I don't even have regular TV, you know? I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in so long, I couldn't even tell you who newscasters are anymore. The only one I know is Tucker Carlson, and that's because he speaks out.
Yeah.
But everybody else, I have no idea. I don't watch the news. I watch the weather. I get off my phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. It's all, when I found out a long time ago that it was just brainwashing, and, you know, I went back when I woke up. I went back and looked at Disney cartoons. And Lord, to my surprise, I could not believe what I was watching when I was young, because I watch it now and I'm, oh my God, was that really in there? And absolutely ridiculous. There is no way, if I had small kids right now, they wouldn't be watching it. Nope, nope, nope. None of it. And it's like, it's unbelievable how they just throw this stuff at us. I know Susie don't really watch TV either.
So the Eiffel Tower is a phallic symbol, you know, it's a satanic that right there, right in Paris. And one, it got hit by lightning, and I've seen this before. I've seen other like God's judgment on other phallic symbols. Like it happened on that big thing in Vegas. That big there's a bit like a big phallic symbol somewhere in Vegas that got hit. And I mean,
well, they don't call Vegas Sin City for no reason.
Yeah, it was like a direct hit, or no, was it? I'm sorry, it was Seattle. I'm sorry, it was the space, that some kind of a space thing, the phallic symbol there. That got hit years ago, direct hit, and so I mean, this has happened before. Like God has hit all those phallic symbols before, in different storms, and these, you know, I don't know if I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that it's a God thing. You know, like a warning you, you know. So.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been building this stuff around for a long time. The Georgia Guidestones. Okay, really? There was nothing but satanic stuff that was written on those Guidestones. That was done by the 33 Degree Masons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff, they want to say, oh, well, this was here and it's been here. It's a monument. It's been here for thousands of years. No, y'all went over there and built out in the middle of the night. The last reset. Okay. We ain't stupid. So it just amazes me. So many people come up missing every year. I think Norma said there was 800,000 that came up missing a year. Where are they going? Where are they going?
Wow.
Other than to be trafficked, be tortured, be eaten. You know, the reptilians, like Norma said, apparently they have to eat, and yes, they prefer us. So what do people not see in this world? I mean, how can you not, when it's out there in front of you?
The kids aren't safe in this society. You know, I mean, I had my niece lives in Florida, and she got abducted last year. She she doesn't like to drive very often, so she has this like little skateboard thing. She lives in Florida, and she said a white van came right beside her with some guys in it, and they but so she just kind of went around the corner on the other side of the freeway or whatever real quick, and so But
Debbie,
is-
when we get back, we're gonna finish this because I got
Vans,
something to tell
vans
you
are
about
vans
white
are
vans.
the main thing, because a van doesn't have windows and they have the doors. They can
Yeah.
pull somebody in there, and be very suspect, people, of a van.
Oh,
Of a
yeah.
van.
Well,
You
we're gonna
know.
go ahead and take a 10-minute break,
Yeah.
and then when we come back, we'll finish this because I got to tell you about vans in my life, and oh boy, and it always is the same thing. So, y'all, we'll be right
Well,
back.
Thank you
Hang
for your-
out with us and let us go run and get our coffees and whatever else it is we're gonna do, and we will see you in a few minutes. just like that, we're back. Hi, Susie.
Hey.
Thank you, Andy. Andy was messaging me. We got 15 minutes left. We have 10 minutes left. We have 5 minutes left. He's my clock guy.
Reminding we have a break.
So, speaking of white vans, when I was in elementary school, I used to walk to school with a group of girls. And one night I had this dream that it had been storming the night before and it was wet when we were walking to school. And there was a white van on the corner with a big bald guy in it. And one by one, we all started disappearing. So my mom told me, oh, it was just a nightmare. Go back to bed. Okay. So the next night I had the same dream. Had the same dream 3 nights in a row. And that night it rained all night. So I got up and I told my mom, I don't want to go to school. So what she did was she had my stepdad load me and the girls up in the car. And we left. And when we got to the intersection where we all crossed, there was the white van with the bald guy in it. And he was looking down into the car. I started screaming. I couldn't even go to school that day. They dropped the girls off and took me home. And I kept telling my mom, I'm telling you, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Of course, my mom used to think I was crazy anyways. They scared the hell out of her half the time. Don't talk to people that's not there, but they're there, Mom. You know, one of those things. But yeah, and I will never, ever, ever forget that because
Wow. It's like a premonition dream.
Yeah.
Like freak
oh,
out.
I do that. And if I usually have them 3 times in a row, I'm very, very leery because
yeah.
I try to change it. So yeah. When them white vans ain't no joke. You're right, Susie, because they don't have windows.
I
Exactly.
haven't had dreams, but I've had I get like really strong intuition about different people or different things, and well, that's what's kept me alive as a whistleblower. You know, as a whistle, I mean, I'll be like, okay, I don't feel like I won't go back to a certain place if I don't trust, the environment, or I won't deal with that person again, or I won't. I mean that, yeah, I get real strong intuitive things, and
Right.
And most people, there's hardly any whistleblowers left alive. And if you haven't noticed, so many of them have disappeared, and I'm such a high level whistleblower that I know that that's a big part of what kept me alive is my intuition, and
Yeah.
so I've always had that. So we have to start listening to that, and that part, and take it seriously.
Yeah. I know that that's true, Nora. Parents do need to start listening to their kids because,
Yeah.
as one thing I told my daughter, I said, if my grandson starts saying that or you see him talking to people when he's sitting by himself, let him do it. Don't ever tell him they're not there. She said,
Right.
well, but he can't grow up all his life having imaginary friends. I said, how do you know they're imaginary?
Yeah.
They may
Exactly.
not be. You need to listen to him. Don't close that part of his brain. Don't tell him there's nothing. I grew up like that. And thank God I had my grandmother to tell me, don't listen to them. If you see them, you see them. If you hear them, you hear them. Don't listen to anybody else.
Yeah. And a lot of times they'll approach kids because they're sensitive to that spirit realm.
Well, kids naturally are born with their third eye open.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the brainwashing that closes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's many stories like where the kids like they'll see ghosts or something, but the parents don't see them, but they're not lying. They're really there, like
Yeah.
spirit house that the adults don't see, but they're terrorizing the kids at night, stories like that. Yeah. Like they're like this one story I remember hearing, like the house had all these flies or whatever downstairs, and he could see it was a ghost or something that was creating the flies, and but his parents couldn't see it, Yeah, exactly.
Now we have one of Susie's favorite things to talk about out there. Also around the same area, there is a cult type something. And what are they called, Kizzy? Profound?
Profundly yours.
Yeah.
Not profoundly, but profundly.
Profundly. Profundly.
Profundly.
Okay. Now, this woman here, what was her name? Linda Good?
Linda Good McGillis.
Good McGillis. Okay, yeah.
But
We had
Linda Good is
shown-
not good.
Yeah, we shown a video on her talking about how she's a walk-in, that she is a commander for the Federation of Light, and that Linda Good had died, and she
The
walked
Galactic
into her
Federation.
body.
Yeah.
Oh, the Galactic Federation. Okay. And Linda had been a walk-in into her body. And these people, there's been people
Well,
that have,
actually, she is actually known as an entity called Ra,
yeah,
the sun
you
god.
know all about
but
Raw.
supposedly the Linda Good McGillis that was born Linda Good McGillis is dead. That person, that soul left the body, and now Ra entered in, and now Ra talks, and Ra sounds like a man out of her body.
And
this
they
is
have
in East
come to
Texas,
her
and it's
ranch.
not too far from where, not
Wow.
right down the road from where Bob Ballard disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you
Wow.
know, she opened up her ranch, and her goal now, if anybody who knows anything about biblical things, her goal is to get 144,000 members. Okay. And live on her ranch. There has been some people that have just walked off and left their lives and went to go live with this woman. I'm over here thinking to myself, you know, Waco all over again, but you know.
So it's
But she bought up not only her property, but bought up the only restaurant, a small little restaurant out there in this little town. And I had made a comment to Susie earlier, and we're both going, ew.
people are
But,
joining, like she's acting like it's some kind of loving community or something.
yes.
She's creating, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
But now I did a reading thing on her, and apparently, according to some of the people that have gone there and have left, she has fits of rage. She
has a dog, and she makes the dog bite everybody to join the cult first.
Yeah. I mean, this woman. Now,
Crazy.
how many people?
Her husband was arrested in Montana for being a pedophile of young children, and he's in prison now. So she's waiting for him to get out of prison to come join her and her cult in East Texas. And our UPS driver went to visit her one day and knocked on the front door. This is, coming from a personal, friend of mine who knows the UPS driver. So the UPS driver goes to deliver her a package, can't find anybody, knocks on the door, walks around the backyard and sees everybody naked running around the yard and children naked as well. This is a little town called Marietta, Georgia, right down the road from where Bob Ballard vanished. So there's a weird, I'm going to say, spiritual connection between the evil of the satanic, demonic elements that are out there, and it seems to be like kind of hovering in that area for some reason.
Right. Wow. And I often wondered, how many of these people came up missing? Did they have anything to do with it also? Because apparently they all know each other. And, Oh,
hi, Eddie. Tommy Edwards. Hi.
Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong. Nice to join us.
Sorry. Sorry I'm late. Had some
you're all right.
issues with some gang stalkers and had police involved.
You're okay. You've been busy, so did you just say the police were there?
Yeah, you said something about police.
Yeah.
What?
I have some people camping on my property.
Oh, those people.
I've had a lot of stuff
Tommy,
disappear.
you need a big, drooling, snarling dog.
Yeah.
Or one that likes to lick him in the face all the time and drive him crazy.
No, you don't want lickers. You want somebody that's going to chase them and grab their asses. They're climbing the fence. Okay, that's what you want. I might have one lined up for you.
Maybe I can borrow
Over at
somebody's
Susie's
football.
house. His name is Freedom, and he likes to impregnate anything that'll bend over in front of him. So there you go. Tell Tommy. Tell Tommy what you told that dog when you were supposed to go get him fixed.
Yeah, I had him scheduled, but he ran away and hid. He did. He literally, like, I had a 2-month wait on the schedule. That morning, he vanished until after the appointment was too late for me to take him. I'm like,
He's a smart
seriously?
dog, Tommy.
That's funny. That's funny.
So he's still intact. You know, what can I say?
Like, you are not taking my nuts, lady. I don't care who's paying for it. But did they leave your property finally, Tommy, or what?
No.
Are these the people
Are they
that
still there?
stalk you, Tommy?
Are they still
In
there?
the yard?
Yeah.
Okay. Your gang
Call me on my
stalkers.
phone and walk out there and hand them your phone. Let me talk to them.
I can't.
I'll make them leave.
I can't do
Yeah,
that and be
right.
on here.
Sure.
I'm not going to hand the guy the phone. I'm not going to hand him my phone anyway.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay, well, then you put it on
Nice try.
speakerphone because I'm going to tell them that I'm getting all lubed up and I am so ready and I am coming to get him because it's been 7 years and I'm going to tear his ass up and let's see how fast he leaves your property. But that's terrible. You can't even.
Well,
have,
we send our prayers your way, Tommy. We just send. Make they leave in the mighty name of Jesus and leave you alone permanently,
Right.
forever, by the mighty hand of God.
I
There you
told
go.
Susie that we need to
Since
put
we can't be there physically, we can be there with you spiritually.
maybe we need to also electrify Tommy's yard. That way, when he's not home, if somebody
Do
climbs
the Home Alone thing, you know. You
the
gotta
fence
set out
or
all kinds of like.
touches his
When I
doorknob.
lived, hey, when I lived in the Virgin Islands,
Yeah.
and I found out that these natives were coming after me. We lived up on this hill. Me and my brother picked all this cactus, and then we buried it in the sand because they were barefoot. And I waited till they got to about the middle of the hill. I started rolling boulders down. They started running and stepping on the cactus and screaming, and they ran home. They never came and bothered us ever again, Tommy.
I've got some trip lines and some stuff set, some bear traps
Yeah.
out there.
Gotta have some Home
Ooh.
Alone tricks, you know. You know?
Bear traps would be good.
That's a good
Oh, I
idea.
do. Believe me, I've got like loop snares. Where
How about some big
when it
mouse
catches their foot,
stickies, you know, they get stuck on the stickies, you know, or something.
that'd be awesome. 'Cause I'm afraid I'd get deer stuck to it. I got a bunch of deer. I've had a bear actually come up on my back porch here.
Oh my gosh.
You know
Good
those
sized
things.
black deer.
You know those things that they make that you put a speaker out and like when there's movement in your backyard, a big dog starts barking. Maybe you
Yeah.
need one of those too. That might
Yep.
work.
Any of yeah.
Every
Thought
now
about
and
making a
then.
moose trap, like a mouse trap big enough for a moose, and
Yeah.
put that out there. Big
There
old
you
block
go.
of cheese on it.
Well, now the problem with it is right now, Tommy, is they're still there in your backyard even after you called the police, and they have not left. So you got to vacate them before you can do anything. Brett says put landmines down.
What about putting something really stinky out there? They don't want to be there, okay? You know, like
South Dakota, there's a castle law where we right. I don't know. Do you have a castle law in your state?
We do.
Yes. Because
Yeah,
in
we do.
South Dakota, it's the
Yeah.
castle law says you have a right to protect your property with violence if needed.
Yeah,
So it's
ours in
literally like legal to be right on your property.
yeah,
It's a castle.
ours in Texas is stand your
property.
ground.
Your house is your castle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have castle law here too.
Okay.
It's I did I did let a couple 12 gauge rounds off just over his head to let him know that I was serious.
Yeah.
He did, like when the cops came, he had gone down into the woods.
Uh-huh.
He just came back after that.
Oh gosh.
Someone out.
Gosh, it
Yeah.
was annoying.
Yeah, and you know,
I have
have fun.
gang stalkers around here. Well, the Masons around here that so I don't know if you've heard of this, but the police have had something called Stingray devices for a long time.
Oh yeah.
They can use to surveil us or whatever. Well, what they're doing is the apparently the Stingray device can also be used as an alternate cell phone tower. So like if I'll be making a call to a customer service place or someplace I need to get a hold of, and it'll bounce off the Stingray to some other place that I wasn't calling, and so they won't let me make the call that I'm trying to call, and that's what the gang stalkers are doing to me lately. And so these Stingray devices that the law enforcement own and have used, they I don't know exactly what it's some kind of tool where they can illegally tap our phones with the Stingray, but it also can be used as a cell phone tower, and that's what they've been doing to me lately.
Oh, that's what it is. That's how it works. It mimics a cell phone tower, and your call goes to the closest tower. So it's like a portable, cell phone tower itself, and all traffic from that locale will go through the Stingray instead of the normal towers.
So do you think it's law enforcement that's doing it, or somebody personally that has a Stingray is doing this to me, or who do you think is doing it?
I'd say it's most likely law enforcement. It could be private, a private contractor. People can those can be bought.
Yeah, it's like a little box.
And
yeah,
it's electronic.
A phone call,
but you're
and
talking.
I can tell it's not the person that I called. Like it's like they're it's like for I was calling Amazon, and it was like nobody was answering the phone, and it was like just wasn't going to where normally Amazon will pick up the phone, and nobody was picking up the phone. I was just getting the runaround, and it's happened.
I had that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen when I tried to call Homeland Security one time, and it went to somebody answered, and it didn't sound like an official operator.
Yeah, exactly.
They said
that
they were.
You know what they normally sound like.
And then also tried to call the FBI several times. Even the head of the field office here in this area of Virginia. He played football at Virginia Tech too, like a few years behind me. And I tried to call his personal cell number and text him, and I've never gotten one response. Like my calls are I don't get calls or text messages sometimes that they get rerouted or whatever, or I'll get a bunch of them that come in the next day that were from the day before, like text messages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a bunch of APIs on my phone, like overlays, which that's like a developer version of the different apps, and that way they can go in and manipulate the apps in different ways. I get crash logs for that stuff all the time. Pretty much, all of them are related to like the message extensions or the calling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, the other thing that this person was telling me, who's another target person, they said they can also hack into your apps on your phone, and like your banking app.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, they'd be really disappointed in my banking app.
Say that I got rid of
not
my
through
app.
the Stingray.
Huh? What?
Well, they not through the Stingray. They can get in through your Wi-Fi, through your router, and then hack into your phone that way. But nowadays, all they need is your phone number, and they can send a 0-day attack without you even having to open anything. That's what Pegasus is, and that's only one of them. I'm sure they've developed lots of them since then.
Oh my!
But it gets into the firmware of your phone, and then you can, no matter if you factory reset it, it's still there. And if you get a new phone, if you transfer the data through your cloud, it brings that with it.
Oh my god.
So you have
Yeah,
to like
Pegasus
hand load the numbers. Yeah,
I-
Pegasus, and that's probably only one of them. It's been out for a while. But I had that on one of my phones.
Do you know who developed that Pegasus
I found
software
Pegasus,
before?
an NSO group, the NSO group out of Israel.
Yeah, it was Israel that did it. I remember hearing a story about it. Okay.
Gee, thanks, guys.
Of course it is.
Former side. But I mean, supposedly
Keeping
only
it
nation
real.
states can have that. Supposedly only nation states have access to it, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be. I mean, CIA, FBI, like buffoonery and just shenanigans. Fucking with me for the last 6 years or more. Just in this like element of anyway. I mean, like CIA stuff that goes way back to when I was a child, but up until then it was just like handling. And yeah.
Debbie, do you think that all comes back to that same thing that we were talking about because of what they do, and they're also involved in the CIA is also involved in movies and putting things together and all that? Do you think that all comes back to the same thing? If we stop paying attention to it and we stop going and we stop paying the money for it and we stop watching, it'll let up?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think people will stop watching movies and stuff, but yeah, they're all it's all linked together.
Yeah, everything.
It's circus and bread. I mean, it's what Caesar.
They go where the money is.
His philosophy. Well, that not just that. It's a distraction to the general public.
So that's what
Keeps
we're
them
talking
distracted.
about.
Oh yeah, so that they can't organize and rise up against the oppressors and against the corruption.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
football
about.
is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We were talking about the Olympics and how bad that they were this year. Well, how bad they've been since, like I said, I remember one, I think it was in 2012, the one where they brought out the shots and they brought out these like needle cartridges out and all this stuff. They took away what people like to watch, the athletics of it, and they've turned it into now a hellacious show. And this time they were mocking the Last Supper. They brought out the blue guy from the Norse and the Giants, Blue Giants. They brought out, now it's
all
like
mockery.
a clown act. It's like, I still am calling that big white place in DC the Big Top because it's a clown circus out there.
Well, you know what? Well, look at what happened to Brazil. I don't know if you remember this, but like they had big mockery of in some kind of parade or something. They had big mockery of what Satan was had pork and he was like running after Jesus.
Yep.
Or it was some kind of mockery of Jesus, right? And then Brazil, like, just a few months later, had that huge flood. The whole place was underwater, and then they got flooded out. Like, remember when almost floods happened just a few back? Dubai got completely flooded. Dubai is very much a part of cloud seeding, and
Yeah,
and they got
they got
flooded out. It was like a judgment thing. Places that got flooded out were places that had done various different things. Like Brazil had that mockery a little bit before. Dubai has been known for its cloud seeding, trying to manipulate weather. And
weather manipulation has been around a long time.
And the way that they built Dubai, they didn't have any kind of proper draining. Right. So it didn't rain anywhere.
It's because it's a desert. It's a desert, and the thing is, we've had the ability to manipulate weather since the Vietnam War. We were cloud seeding then, as a way to flood the tunnels and stuff.
Yep.
But now with the HARP array that's been around for 40 years now, weather manipulation it's pretty commonplace. I mean, a lot of the superstorms that we've seen, they weren't natural; they were enhanced.
Yeah,
Well,
it's definitely more enhanced.
That's like out here. We've been watching. I live right next to the base. Okay, we've been watching. All of a sudden, the base has got big old dark clouds over it. It's thundering. It's raining. We are getting nothing. And I'm telling you, I can throw a stone at the base. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, then they'll go away. And then a few days later, it'll come back. And it's like, oh, and we're not getting anything but 105-degree weather over here. Okay.
Oh, wow. Like, just,
so I know that they've had that stuff out there. I used to sit and think when I was a kid and we'd be running around the street. You remember those trucks they used to send down the street and they'd be spraying bushes? They'd say they were spraying for mosquitoes. Yeah. I think that was not mosquitoes they were spraying for.
Yeah.
I mean, they were spraying that shit out on the street.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's all just, I've known it for a long time. My daughter asked me one day, she called me, Mom, do you believe in chemtrails? I went, oh yeah, they've been doing that since I was a kid. And she's like, oh, that's it, I'm done with you. And she hangs up on me. I'm like, what? You asked me a question, I answered you.
I mean, it's a fact. There's been whistleblowers come through from the Air Force to talk about it. They've been spraying it with aluminum and barium for, and other stuff too. I mean, like there's human like plasma cells, all kinds of nasty shit that they mix into those things, and that's part of the reason. That's part of what has proliferated the biofilms that are on everything, which is hydrogel, which is that's a liquid crystal.
I often wonder if the people that do those planes, if they had kids, if they think about what this stuff is doing. And I heard somebody say one time that they know the ones that are doing this don't have any family and they don't care about society. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding? Okay, so somebody needs to go up to everybody who is single and has no family and just kick them, because if they don't care about society anyways, we just beat them up. But I mean, it's ridiculous to think. And then the ones that are doing it that have family, they don't know. They don't know. Apparently, they're putting them in commercial planes now.
Mm-hmm.
So you are paying for a plane ticket to go somewhere that is spraying chemtrails, and you're paying them money to do it.
Oh wow!
So my thought is, well, I'm claustrophobic and afraid of heights, so I don't take planes anyways. So my thought is, hey, everybody, drive a frickin' car.
Yeah.
Don't take a plane. So it takes you a few more days. Who gives a shit? You're not paying to have yourself sprayed. That's my opinion.
I don't know if you remember, but I mean, he was clearing up a lot of those chemtrails. I mean, I was noticing this guy clear up under the Trump administration. I mean, he cleared up a lot. I mean, I would see,
they were a lot clearer.
Seeing him wherever I went for a while there. I mean, they were just everywhere. And then Trump got in. I mean, they were just disappearing like crazy. So he was going.
They weren't as bad.
Yeah, he was going after that part of it.
Now, we have it to where in Texas it's illegal, but you know what? You have to know who's doing it. And if it's the Air Force or it's on a commercial flight, what are you going to do? Get up there in a plane and pull them over?
Figure out where all of it from.
You can go online and find out what plane it is. I mean, through the FAA.
Yeah.
Like I said, I live right next to a base. You can't tell me that they can't tell you what plane is flying around. And if I see and that's a no-fly zone, that is a no-fly zone. But you'll see them over there. And we could have a clear day here one day. The next day you walk outside, looks like a frickin' waffle iron.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
In the
And,
back.
and
Exactly.
the reason they give is to to bolster the stratosphere, I guess, with to reflect more of the solar, to decrease global warming, which seems like a not really all that plausible, honestly. But that's what they say. It's
Well, that's what they tell us.
and
Oh,
it's something that
it,
it's been going on steady
yeah.
since the 90s.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah,
And
Norma, that's been around for a long time too, man.
yeah, they did ban chemtrails in Tennessee recently,
Oh yeah, Norma's talking about this whistleblower.
but not Virginia. They're still here.
I just saw a thing about him, Eric. He said he worked for Raytheon in Antarctica, and he
Oh
said
yeah,
the stuff is coming from there. This stuff.
oh yeah. They definitely have the ability to. The neutrino detectors. That's that's the world's largest directed energy weapon. It's larger than the HARP. Right. That's in Alaska.
It's called, what is it called?
Yeah. Neutrino detectors. They're like basketball size, like spheres that are buried about 75 to 100 feet down into the ice, and there's a big grid of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah. Neutrinos are like
how do those work? Never heard of them.
neutrinos
Are those made by Raytheon?
yes.
Made by
So
Raytheon.
neutrinos are like
It was a Raytheon whistleblower. Okay.
yeah, they make the detectors. Yeah, but the neutrinos are it's a type of particle that they're trying to figure out subatomic particles and like dark matter and different things that have been theoretical for the most part. But neutrinos are a particle that can pass through the Earth.
Oh wow. Okay.
And in such a way that it's I'm not completely like all that well read on the physics of it, but it's something that they can pick up. It's energy that's emitted from the sun, essentially.
Okay.
And yeah, something that they're trying to prove as part of a to better understand like quantum physics.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, this guy was he was there as a firefighter and plumber, and he had access to the like instructions on the thing, just like he was able to put together. A lot of the military industrial complex contractors are they're pretty diabolical. When war is your business, then there's only so much patriotism and nationalism that we need, and then the rest of it's just outsourced and sent to other people to kill people. And then the central banks finance both sides.
Okay. Tommy, before you got here, we had played a video about Tom Ballard missing. And then we just started talking about this crazy woman. Huh? Tom Ballard, he came up missing last year. A guy from Cass County, from out there by where Susie's at. And we played that video. He came up missing a year ago. And then we were just talking about a cult type place out there with a woman who runs it, and her name is Linda. What is it? Linda Good. What?
McGillis.
Linda Good McGillis. Yeah. Apparently, she's a walk-in. That Linda Good McGillis had died, and this other lady walked in, and she's from one of these galaxy. She claims that she's
She's from the Federation of Light or whatever.
Yeah, and she claims that she's an entity called Ra.
Ra, Ra is the sun god.
Yeah, Ra the sun god.
Our kids would probably disagree with her.
Well, I know, right? They might, but she's crazy, and that's what Susie was saying, that there was a UPS guy that went to deliver to her ranch. She wants, her goal is to get 144,000 followers, and there was a UPS guy that went to go deliver a package. When he knocked on the door, nobody answered, so he went around the back and he found everybody running around naked, including little kids, on the property.
Oh, wow.
So it's another one of those cult things that's involving. You know what? You want to get into a cult? Don't take your children. Don't take your children. I mean, that's up to you. Everybody, to each their own. You want to go live on a ranch somewhere and be a cult? Go do it. Don't take your kids.
Especially the difference between a cult and a church.
You can't be a cult if you're not a church. Is that what you said?
That's the difference between a cult and a church.
That's the difference.
Or denomination.
Well, I've never seen a bunch of people running around naked with kids in a church now.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably not pagan churches though. And
well, when I took a biblical class, the terminology for cult was any organization that believes that they're the only way to get to heaven. That's considered a cult in a religious way of thinking. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but with her, it's not get to heaven, isn't it? Like Heaven's Gate was, like go on a ship or something.
Yeah, it's a intergalactic heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we have a video we'd like to show.
I hope
of Linda.
We do.
I mean,
did you send me a video?
I sent it to you earlier.
Oh no, you sent me that one thing. It's not a video. It's just to talk. You have to read it.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's divided and it has commercials in between. That's why I said I was looking for that video that you sent me a while ago from Glenn's show to see if it was still on here. I'm pretty sure it is, but I don't know where it's at, because I wanted Tommy to hear her talking and what she says, because she's a very interesting person. I mean, it's like it makes your talons stand up. She's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And I was looking to see if I could find it on YouTube, but YouTube has all of the newer videos of her acting like, that's a safe place to be and everybody loves it there. And
here's a short one. I'll send you a short one.
That's how they sucker you in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never doubt that.
I'll never blink.
Okay.
Never once blink.
I do not doubt that at all. That's the sucker punch.
I've known some cool people.
Well, her husband is in prison right now for child pornography for young children in Montana. And so they have they already have a record of, doing harm to children and stuff. So, I don't think we want him moving to East Texas with,
they said that's where he's going to go when he gets out.
Yeah.
So that's why I said we're going to have to electrify the property, and anybody that steps on there, we'll just give them perm and send them on their way. Yeah.
Tommy, I just heard about this one guy here. Well,
here, I'm going to send you this one here. Hang on. The second one I send you. Okay.
Okay.
What's that?
Guy from Virginia wrote that uses data to work with law enforcement, and he can find. His name is Raymond. Like, he's apparently really famous in Virginia. He's like Mountain Man from Virginia. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's from.
What's his name? Raymond what?
Raymond.
Right on my donut box here.
Okay. I gotta go in here.
Oh,
Okay. Got it?
Yeah, I think so.
in a galaxy far, far away.
I know, right? Reminds me of Star Wars. She's in a galaxy
Right.
far,
They
far
need to
away.
slow that shit down.
Now, some of that is true, what she says. You know, we're made of.
That's the thing is
We're
they
like
mix
beings.
they mix truth with deception.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's one key thing about cults.
Right.
It's got to sound plausible enough and
Want the
familiar
direct
enough.
path?
It's like
You're back to your purity, your holiness, your innocence. Then you have to step onto the path of brutal, raw honesty. You have to own up to every bit of your ugliness, of your irresponsibility, of your immaturity, of your bad choices, of your shame that has made you put masks on. You want the path to redemption into righteousness, which really is a code of honor. Has nothing to do with religion. And you find every bit of your behavior that is shady. You find every bit of your words, your thought processes, what you speak, and your unconscious actions, and you hold yourself to an absolute, almost unattainable code of honor, of ethics, honesty, morality, and integrity. You change every bit of you. You don't tell that white lie. You don't tell that half truth. You're not Ian that tells Deb she looks good in a blouse that really does not complement her hair and her skin color. He tells her the truth. Honey, that's a very beautiful blouse, but that does not compliment you, even if it hurts her feelings. You hold yourself because you understand that everything outside of this, your soul don't see anything, is energy, and everything we do with our breath, we're breathing every second. The breath in every single one of us is holy. I don't care if it's a rapist, if it's a murderer, if it's the Taliban, I don't care. You can be the most evilest person on this earth. The breath in and of itself is the Holy Spirit. Everything we do, we are doing as creator for creator. And when you truly come to understand and understand that our breath is the Holy Spirit, and the only thing that makes any of us evil is our ethics, our morality, our integrity, our actions, our behaviors, we start changing our ways. When we understand that we diminish each other because of these bodies, you start holding yourself accountable for every word you speak, for every negative thought you have. Well, I don't like Michelle's coat. Well, look at the way he dresses. You come to understand that your soul don't see any of you. Every word I speak, my soul don't see you. My soul don't hear your side of the conversation. My soul only hears my side of the conversation. My soul only hears my words.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting here saying I want, oh, Pam, you're ugly. You want to know who my soul? Pam, you're not. You're very beautiful. Do you want to know what my soul hears? My soul hears me telling it, spirit, creator, that it's ugly. It don't matter if it's spoken or if I'm just thinking it. You stop telling half truths and white lies, and you stop. Oh well, nobody's gonna see me. It's okay. I can take that candy bar. Yeah. When you stop
Basically,
trying to compare and compete yourself to the Cadillac on the road and just let him pass you and still bless the dumbass as he does so because he almost cut you off and wrecked the car in front of you. You start learning.
Yeah, I can see that
There's
already.
many
People
journeys.
just
Every single
follow it.
one of us has a journey. It's called life.
yeah, this is basic rules to live by.
But when you
Like,
understand that you give meaning to your life and your life truly is the greatest miraculous gift there is. Why? Because Creator brought its breath, its spirit into your body. That's when you're going to start holding yourself accountable for your shame, for your regret, for your choices. You come to understand, no, I chose to do that. I may have had a shitty childhood. I may have been child prostituted out, but that doesn't mean I have to go hold it against every single one of you and tell you I can't trust you and you're bad because somebody else.
Okay, I'm going to say this real quick.
we can stop.
This video that she's doing now is a lot nicer than the first one that we ever seen when she wouldn't even call us people. Okay? And when she said that these bodies, no, she referred to them before as vessels.
Well, we are vessels.
Well, yes.
It's scary.
You know,
She also said how much she hated human beings.
I mean, I can test that a whole bunch of mine don't like either.
But yeah, this is true. That she's saying things a lot different than she did the first time.
Oh
is what
yeah.
I'm
I
saying.
don't even care
Guess it
anymore.
depends on her audience,
It's
you know.
something.
Yeah.
It's a lot
We
of like
shame
basic
the world
principles.
for our pain. Because we don't want to feel it. We can't be responsible for how shitty our life is. Well, if my parents hadn't been drug addicts in this, I never would have turned out this way, Linda.
Do what, Tommy?
You can only play so much of this, or you're going to get a copyright strike.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even want to hear any more of it, to be honest. She's gross.
It's just there's nothing positive. There's no positive energy coming from her. So it's all like even if
Exactly.
she's saying something positive.
Because
very
she's a demon
negative.
talking. She's a demon that has taken over that physical body.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what she is. And so she's running a cult, and they are a nudist cult or whatever you want to call it. Her husband is a pedophile. They're into, you know, little children, you know. She's drawing a whole lot of people that are just like her into this. It's a huge following. She has a huge following.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe people are.
You know,
I don't.
you know who likes to support and help cults develop?
Who?
The CIA.
Yeah, I develops these. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess I should have been able to guess that, but you know, hey, I kind of figured maybe it would be somebody different. Guess I was hoping. I don't know.
The guy's name is Raymond Grace, and I can send you a link when we're done here of one of his. But
what was his last name?
Grace. Raymond Grace.
Grace?
You could find, RaymondGrace.org, and apparently he. You know, because we sometimes talk about missing people on this. We were just talking about missing people and everything, and that lady was supposed to be on here. He has been known to find missing people with dowsing. He's like 100% accurate.
Really?
Well, there's a guy.
He can find it. He's been used by law enforcement to solve cases and find people for years, or he used to in the past. I mean, he's older now, like in his 70s, but he lives in Virginia, where you live somewhere. Yeah.
I was involved in helping locate the remains of a girl who had gotten murdered in 1980. And there's a guy named Armand Voss, who he helped develop the Cadaver Lab out in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and he patented a couple of inventions. One of them it's a sniffer, and it sniffs for when the human body decomposes, it gives off gases and breaks down in a certain pattern, in a certain procession. So it sniffs out and finds these specific compounds and different chemical makeups that come off when the body decomposes, and it can find clandestine graves. He's the one that he found the two Hells Angels that were murdered by the Manson family, and they were in a school bus that had been buried. Manson family the ranch that they were on there. He was involved in the Susan Anthony or the Casey Anthony case.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stuff, but
I know who that guy is.
He'd be a good. And the second thing he developed was kind of like a dowsing rod, except you put familial DNA in the thing, and it takes that and the resonant frequency of the DNA, and sweeps like this and locates the in any family DNA within that range. As long as there's nothing like big concrete abutments or a mountain or something in between, they'll get up on like a high point and start from there. It'll locate things up to 5 miles away. But
all right, guys, we got just a couple minutes left. So if you would like
any closing thoughts, anybody?
Yeah. What was I looking for? Oh, there it is.
Any last questions? Any in the audience?
Tommy, do you want to tell everybody where to find you? And of course, we know this is how we help Tommy. Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong.
Right.
Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong. That's right. Just like it's spelled right there. That's my Cash App. You can find me on YouTube at Tommy Edwards 7062, and on Instagram and Facebook at Touchdown Tommy Edwards. On Rumble, it's Dreamweaver. No, it's not Dreamweaver. I'm sorry. It's it's Dreamcatcher. And let's see. I've got a TikTok. I need to write all this shit down so I have it in one place and can just read it off or send it to you.
I should probably write it down for you.
You do good. Yeah.
Kind of like lounging in the quantum field somewhere.
If you happen to be out in Virginia and you see Tommy wandering around, just stick your hand out the window and go, "Yo, Tommy!"
No, don't do that. Scared shit out of me.
And no scaring it. And do not think you're going to camp in his backyard either, because that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Unless you've asked, and I said, sure.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, if you ask, he's a nice guy. He might just let you. and Debbie, what about you?
You can find me on YouTube, Debbie Davis, Arizona National Guard whistleblower. My our soldier Debbie at protonmail.com. It's my email. So yeah.
All right. And Andy, we can find you on Facebook, right? Shake your head. Yes or no? I can't hear you. There you go.
He's like, yep.
Oh my God. And of course, you can always find Susie and I here on Friday nights, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central Time, and 10 p.m. to midnight on Eastern Time. And yeah, we all have Facebooks, I'm sure. I think, was it Tommy? We
got those like buttons, everybody, and everybody subscribe, and you know.
Yes, y'all.
And
like,
send us a friend request. If you don't already have one.
We like
Backslash.
it.
Oh yeah, Warren or yeah, Linda's voice is like a man's because she said she is a man. It's not Linda anymore.
Yeah.
That's what the walk-in says.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, and I heard Brett made a comment about too many Marlboros, but you know what? I smoked Marlboros for years and I don't sound that bad.
Well, its
Nice.
story, let's just say, its story is that Linda actually did die. And when Linda died, she had a female voice. That the voice that's speaking out of Linda now is Raw, which is the walk-in. And if you go to YouTube, you can listen to the whole interview of it explaining how it happened, how it took over the body of Linda Good. And
Very
she agreed
weird.
to it. Yeah.
And Andy, that was the video that when we played it on Glenn's show, Bobby was like mesmerized and thought it was a guest. And he was like, I couldn't stop listening to her. What happened? I'm like, she sucked you in, Bobby.
Yeah.
But,
She's
okay, guys, we're going to go. We will be back next weekend. I do know that we've got David Oates coming back next weekend, the guy that does everything in reverse, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. I liked him. He was a pretty good guest.
Yeah. He's got
and
some
I
new
think
stuff
I'm
too.
Still working on the 31st. So I may get a hold of Rob, Tommy, and see what all everybody's doing on the 31st. Do you have another guitar?
I have several guitars.
I was gonna say it's like
You gonna sing us a closing tune, Tommy?
Look, Tommy has guitars like we change hair color. Look at that.
Not so much. I mean, I'm mastered these the last few years, but I have lots of different instruments too.
Okay, well we'll stay.
Maybe for me too, Norma.
We'll stay extra few minutes so that Tommy can play us a song. How's that?
Yeah, we'll close it out with Tommy singing.
Go ahead.
Hit it, Tommy.
Hit it, George. Let's see. And there we go.
That was a good that was a good teaser.
Sometimes the dope and the darkness cuts out all the light and only leaves the carcass. Death starts stalking, roll the bitches in the squawking. Angel paints a picture of 6 pallbearers walking. There is no hope, there's only sacrifice. Dealing shuffles fentanyl while millions roll the dice. Rich man's money and the lies that bind. Food with gas on desperate times. One man pays the burden and the nation grows no wiser. Sacklers count the billions from the murderers just like Pfizer. There's no hope, there's only sacrifice. There's only profit signs, private prisons, harm reduction. The devil counts his money from the souls that he's been plucking. Sometimes the hope and the darkness cut out all the light, only leave the carcass. Death starts stalking, roll the bitch and the squawking. An angel paints a picture of 6 pallbearers walking. An angel paints a picture of 6 pallbearers walking. There's more to it.
Thank you, Tommy.
But,
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
everybody.
Thank you, Tommy.
We're gonna get out of here.
Thanks,
So, like always, everybody,
Good night, everybody.
please be kind to one another and have a good week. And we'll see y'all next weekend.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.